Wow, that was such an awesome cinematic trailer is what I heard you say after watching it, because you definitely watched it, right? It's okay if you didn't, no hard feelings, it just took me far too long to make. But anyway, I'll make this tutorial on how to use my cinematic camera add-on for Minecraft Bedrock as short as necessary. So, here we go. To begin recording any cinematic shot, we first need a camera. Makes sense, right? To use any part of this add-on, we're actually going to use the handy dandy function command. We'll simply type /function add cam. And as you can see, there's a few different add functions, but we'll get to those in a second. So we're going to add this camera just like this. So doing this automatically gives us the setup toolset, and since we're on the topic, I'll cover what toolsets are. Toolsets are your best friend to utilizing this add-on. I've made custom tools to streamline the process of whatever shot you're aiming for, and you can access them via typing the function tools _. There are two toolsets, that's a bit of a tongue twister. There are two toolsets available, one for functioning the camera with tools camera, and the other is tool setup for managing all of the point related things. So we're just gonna go ahead and leave this as it is. And to use any tool, the item must be thrown if it is throwable, or dropped if it is not throwable. For example, I can add a few points here by throwing my snowball tool, and it will add points wherever I am currently positioned. The only limit to the amount of points you can add is restrained to however many your device or Minecraft itself can handle before crashing. So just to demonstrate, let's say I just plop a bunch all around here, and you can see there's no noticeable lag until around 0.25, when the world itself has a bit of trouble updating the points. So what if I just added a bunch of points that I don't want? Luckily, there is a handy dandy reset points tool to wipe the timeline clean. So let's go ahead and take this and throw it. Boom. And we get a nice notification saying camera timeline reset. Now let's say I want to make a quick cinematic of this nether portal here. I can add some points around the portal, place a static target where I want to focus my camera, and play the scene. So let's go ahead, I'll just add 4 simple points around here, and then add a static target as the focus. So the camera will go around in a circle and focus on the nether portal. So in order to actually play the scene, we could either type the function /function scene play, or alternatively, we can equip the camera toolset. I may want to adjust certain aspects of the camera, such as speed, so I'll go ahead and switch to that toolset by typing function tools camera. So now that I have the camera toolset enabled, I can use this play/stop tool and throw it to start the scene. And you notice this is actually a bit slow, so I think I'll crank the camera speed up using the camera speed tool. If we throw this tool, we can see the camera speed starting to increase at the bottom of the screen, which just tells us how fast our camera is currently going. And anytime now. Boom, there we go, recording stopped. Alright, so the setup process itself was pretty fast, and our cinematic was pretty neat, but I'd like to make some quick adjustments. I'd like if this point here would go upwards, this point over here, and to do that, we simply take the grab tool at the end here, and we just go near the point we want to grab, and it will stick itself to us, hence the slime ball. And I think I'll just have this ascend upwards, like that. And then to stop grabbing, you simply let go or deselect the grab point tool. So FlowMo also has built-in vertical movement smoothing, meaning that whenever there is a point located above or below the camera, it will smoothly transition upwards instead of having jittery camera movements everywhere. I've also included the ability to loop timelines for instances like time lapses. So, enabling or disabling Boolean type options in FlowMo similar to a light switch. If I want to enable timeline looping, I'll type the function point loop. If I want to disable timeline looping, I'll simply type the function point loop again. The same goes for the actual point loop tool itself. Let's see how this scene plays out, pun intended. So, let me go ahead and just type /function point loop, which is an alternative to using the point loop tool. And as you can see, boom, it says it's been set to true. So now whenever I play the scene, I should not only be ascending upwards at this last point, and look at that, but now it will go back to the initial point and loop the whole thing over again. Cool. That's cool and all, but our cinematic is a little bit stale, so how about the camera slowly pans down from the sky to the portal? Now this next feature, along with several others mentioned beforehand, is unique to FlowMo, or at least to my current knowledge, it is unique to FlowMo. So if I go ahead and grab our initial static point over here and throw it up in the sky, there we go, I can then place an additional static target down here. So let me make sure that I'm not changing the rotation speed, which we'll get to in a second. I'm going to switch over to my setup toolset. There we go. And I can add a second static target here, which you see at the bottom states that it is the second rotation point. So, similar to the camera point timeline, which controls our camera's position, these points control the rotation of our camera. So, when I play out the scene we've made, the camera will now pan down from our first rotational point. Let me go ahead and just type the scene play function. So as you can see, it'll pan down from the sky and down to our portal, but our a little bit janky there just because of our camera speed is being so high right now. And it's also looping. So you can also disable looping during the recording. Other options, however, like adding points, cannot be done during play mode for reasons like just the fact that if you accidentally try and add a point during play mode, you might not want to do that. So that's nice. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my camera tools so that I can slow down this footage a little bit. Let's say maybe a good 3, and we'll see how that goes. And now this is also where the rotational speed comes in. So I can increase the speed of my rotation, although my pan down just finished already, so not much point in doing that. Let's try that again. If I increase the speed here of my rotation, that should pan down faster, and it might be a little bit hard to see there just because I was changing it while it was happening, but it does happen. So you may be saying, well, you know, that's cool and all, but what if I had a dynamic target that I want to focus on? Well, luckily, I've also accounted for not only dynamic rotational targeting, but dynamic positional targeting as well. And I'll be honest, I think at this point, I'm kind of just making up cinematographic terms, so I'll show you what I mean. Let's reset the current scene with the function /function scene reset. Oh, not reset. And that will disable any current active points, such as timeline points, rotational points, you name it, it'll be reset. So, let's say that I want this guy to be the target of this cinematic. First, I have to add my camera again because I just reset the scene. So, let's go ahead and type /function, oh, not scene, add cam. Cool. Then I'll use the add target tool, which will select the nearest entity and set it to the dynamic target. So this cow here, it will say in the top left as a nice little confirmation message, cow set as target. This also happens to be a nice segue into the add-on's toggleable options. So if I go ahead and type the function opt, short for option, I have two options here. I have option debug and option tools clear. Option debug just simply means that when I am doing a certain action, it will display that action in chat showing that I did that action. So for example, I set the cow as a target. If for whatever reason you don't want that, option debug will disable that. So the second option was function opt tools clear, and both of these additional options are a bit more nuanced, but again, for those more nuanced situations, these exist. So for whatever reason you don't want your inventory to be cleared when switching tool sets, this is what this is for. So that just means that when I switch to a new tool set, let's say I want the camera tool set, instead of clearing my inventory, it will simply add the items into my inventory, including the previous items that I had. Going back to our target here, we can actually just play the scene as it is, as the cow set as the dynamic target. But I actually need to re-enable my, first of all, tools clear, because I like my inventory to be cleared every time I switch tool sets, and I'd like to have the camera tool set. Coolio. So we can actually just play the scene as it is. So as you can see, I have my camera slowly but surely panning over to the cow because it is set as a dynamic target. Now, the other thing that isn't visible right now is that the camera, because there was no previous point timeline set up, and we have a dynamic target enabled, the camera will smoothly, or I guess dynamically, transition towards the cow. So it's walking away right here. Let's see if we can get it to go. Okay, now, well, this is a nice time to introduce these other tools. So camera zoom is essentially the way we can zoom our camera. So you could actually use the spyglass itself as a form of zooming, which is kind of cool if you wanted that, or you can also drop the item to actually change the range of the amount of distance set between you and the target. So let's say I want to be really close to the target. So I'll be camera zoom 1 out of 3, and as you can see, I'm actually smoothly moving towards the cow at a very slow pace, which I can change here. So if I want the rotation speed to be a little bit faster, I can up that here. And then let's say that I'm not where I want to be. I'm a little bit too close or too far away from the target. This refocus camera tool will allow me to refocus the camera, and it will position the camera based off wherever that entity or target is facing. Cool. So I just quickly stop the scene, and if we switch over to our setup, our tool setup, we can also create a point timeline in conjunction with a dynamic target. So let's say I want to have just a little circle going around here, and then I guess I'll also have this loop so that it'll be continuous, and then we can play from there. So let's re-enable the camera tool set. If I could type properly, that would be great. And we'll play this out. Up the camera speed a bit, and as you can see, we are moving along a timeline while viewing the cow as a dynamic target. So cool, right? Another toggleable feature is camera shake. So there isn't currently any adjustability for this option, meaning there's no, I can't make it greater or smaller yet. But if I go ahead and type slash function cam add shake. This will give the camera a little bit of perspective shaking. This could be used for some sort of intense battle or whatever situation you might want to use it for. This is what this is here for. And if we go ahead and stop the scene, we won't have the camera shake. Just as another note, it will only be during play mode. And then make sure if you don't want it, we go ahead and type the function again to disable it, if I could type. Alright, so the last option I'll cover is called point events. Fair notice, this is a beta feature and has not been fully developed, but does have plans for future updates. Comment down below or, subscribe to let me know if you want an update or not. Okay, so anyone who has used any software containing customizable animations or video editing software will recognize the term keyframes or key points, which is what this is essentially striving to be. Currently, only the camera speed can be customized for the camera's point timeline. So let's say I want this second point. Where's my second point? 8, 1, 2. Cool. Also, another note there, you can see which point is which by just hovering near it, if you haven't noticed that already. But let's say I want this point to speed up the camera once it reaches this point. So in order to do that, this point again is in beta, but I'll go ahead and set my camera speed to the desired speed that I want this point to be. So let's say I want it to be really fast, I'll set it to 6. And I actually turned off the debug option, so we did not see that actually happens. So just to show you that the debug command does indeed work, I'll change my camera speed to 6 again, and it will tell us that it was set to 6. So I'll go near the point that I want to change and have a custom speed, and then I will go ahead and type the function point event. And so now you can see it has a nice little tag of has event, and this just lets you know that it does indeed have an event. And so hopefully whenever we play the scene, that should make the camera go faster. Oh, another tip is the camera won't actually be able to play the scene if it does not have a target. So I don't know what happened to my cow. I'm assuming it left somewhere or despawned. So to reset the targets, there is not currently a tool for this, but there is a command. We can go ahead and click target reset, not click, type it. So that resets any current targets, any values for that target, and we'll go ahead and I don't feel like necessarily switching to the setup toolset just to add a target, so you can also add it via a command. So I'll say add target static because that's the one I want. Another additional note is that most of these commands, pretty much all of these functions, should be able to use in a command block, minus the fact that whatever you're executing will execute at the command block. So if you want to add a point, make sure you're executing at a player, unless you want the point to be added at the command block. That's kind of a separate thing, but just to let you know, it is possible to use this with command blocks. So we're going to go ahead and enter this. And we have our static target there. Let's try and play the scene. And you'll notice that right away, my camera speed was really fast. So that's not really what I wanted. I wanted it to be at point 2 that it gets faster. So you'll notice point 1 also has an event, even though we did not give it a custom speed. And that is because if you do not set a custom speed for the first point of your timeline, but you did for another point, the first point will just copy whatever point you set the other one to, because there was no initial speed given, if any of that makes sense. So we're going to have to set this to a custom speed as well. So I can actually set my camera speed here. Let's set it to something slower like 3. And now I can go ahead and do that function of point event, and it doesn't actually display the speed. Maybe should have thought about that before, but again, could be updated. So let's go ahead and play the scene and see how this works. Alright, this is what I wanted. Starts out slow, and as soon as I hit this second point, my camera should kick up the speed. Voila. Okay, thanks for watching this tutorial on how to use my very own cinematic add-on. If you appreciate the content I'm making for free, you could give right back by subscribing for free. If you have feedback / suggestions / questions / angry opinions, make sure to comment them in the section down below. And alright, till next time.